All right, guys, now it's time to talk about data modeling and management. That's the next section in the exam guide. And if you notice here as well in the exam guide, it's weighted at 20%. So this is one of the larger sections of the course. Pretty extensive, a lot of lectures in this. And I wanted to highlight as well in the exam guide that you want to really look at these bullet points under each section. We've got the pie charts for the weighting, but then as well, we just came out of the Salesforce fundamentals section. And some of these bullets from the fundamentals that you should know by now are the ability to describe the capabilities of the core CRM objects in the Salesforce schema, and then given a scenario, identify the boundaries of declarative customizations and the use cases for programmatic customizations, and then identifying common scenarios for extending an org using the App Exchange. So we've covered some of that in the previous section. Some of this will get more in depth in following sections as well. So we'll be layering on this additional knowledge as we've built this fundamentals and foundation as we now get into the data modeling and management. And so be sure and review the bullet points in the exam guide for this particular section as you start to branch out into it. Some of the lectures that we're going to be getting into will be where we talk about objects. And when I mention objects, what I'm talking about are custom objects and standard objects. There are certain standard objects that come out of the box with Salesforce, such as accounts, contacts, and leads. And then there's custom objects that you can create. We'll be creating a multitude of custom objects throughout the span of this course, especially as we're building out our IMDb clone app. And then we'll be doing some things as far as relating those objects to one another. And then once we get familiar with standard and custom objects, we'll go deeper into the individual fields. And this is where we cover standard fields, and those vary by the different types of objects that you encounter on Salesforce. And then I'll show you how to create custom fields. And when you create custom fields, you can do things like set history tracking on those fields so you can keep track of the values that have been entered into records. And then I show you how to create the different types of custom fields that are available. And so I've got individual lectures for each individual type of field because each one is unique and different. And when I was starting out on the Salesforce platform, I found it difficult to understand sometimes the difference between a pick list field and a multi-select pick list field, and even the dynamic nature of field dependencies. And so we go into all that in this section as well. I cover date fields, date time fields, geolocation fields, even encrypted fields. I show you how to create all those and how those look from the front end for end users as well, and how those behave whenever you enter data into them. We get very familiar with creating all the different types of fields, and then how to also extend field level security for those fields, where you can specify who can even see fields or what profiles can edit fields, for instance. And then as well, adding these custom fields to page layouts. Other things that we get into as we go deeper into this section of the course are things such as multiple currencies. If you deal with global currencies and need to extend your Salesforce organization out beyond just one currency, I show you how to enable that, and then as well how to keep those conversion rates up to date daily through downloading and installing a great app off of the App Exchange that handles that task as well. As well, in this section, you'll find that we cover another sample exam question from the exam guide, and I walk you through how to approach that and what the right answer is, and even what the wrong answers are and why. We also get into some of the third-party tools that Salesforce provides and that you'll be tested on in this exam, such as the data loader, and how to install the data loader, how to log in, and how to append even your security token to the end of your password in order to log in. You'll need to be able to do this in order to export and import and mass delete data on the Salesforce platform, and you'll be expected to be familiar with the data loader on the Platform App Builder exam as well. We even create external objects. We get involved with Heroku a little bit. And so I'm trying to expose you to a lot of the different solutions and functionality on the Salesforce platform that may come up on the exam, and it's always helpful to know what the possibilities are, and so you have at least some exposure so that you don't encounter something for the first time while taking the test. That's not a good feeling to have, is when you're taking your test and you discover something that you've never heard of before. So I try to at least give you some exposure. We really try to key in on the things that I definitely know that you'll be tested on. I also show you how to export data out of Salesforce, and even how to decide what tool would be best for mass exports or imports and data manipulation as well. And then we get more in depth in the schema builder. I show you how to use the schema builder to create objects and fields and doing that in a visual way. I also give you practice activities such as creating junction objects. And then finally, we round out this particular section with another quiz, so be sure to take part in that as well. And so let's get started, and let's next talk about objects. And we'll talk about the difference between standard and custom objects on the Salesforce platform.